Hello, planet Earth. Welcome to my YouTube channel, where at IDK, my BFF Jill 730.
My BFF Jill 730.
I'm Preston L. Young, wishing you warm salutations and congratulations, as always. You've made your way to the Buffington Post. Today I'll be continuing my Season 9 coverage of the Buffyverse with Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 9, issue number 23. It's The Core, Part 3. But before we get into it, let's talk about the big party going down at the Deeper Well.
Before magic had been destroyed, Illyria actually returned to the Deeper Well, where she was restored to the full scope of her power with the plant talking, and the time bending, and the portal opening, and all that fun. Now, while she was down there, she accidentally unleashed an old one, but she fixed that for everybody, okay? But fully restored Illyria was not a long-lasting thing, as Severin the Siphon came along and sucked out all of Illyria's mystical energies, basically leaving Illyria completely powerless. And about this time, we found out that Dawn was fading away from reality because there was no magic in the world to keep her together, since, she was made of magic in the first place. Now, keep in mind that Rogue Slayer Simone Doppler has been all season trying to figure out how to get Buffy's power, or at least get more power than Buffy, and we saw that she was trying to turn Slayers into Zompires in order to figure out how to make this happen for herself, and she believes that the answers for her are down in the Deeper Well. Severin is joining her down in the Deeper Well because his answers are there as well. He's got Illyria's time-bending powers, and he needs to suck out enough mystical energy from the old ones down in the Deeper Well to actually wield Illyria's time-bending powers in order to reverse time and make sure that Twilight never happened and magic was never destroyed so that his girlfriend never died. So they're going down into the Deeper Well, and Buffy, Willow, and Xander are also going down into the Deeper Well because Willow believes that, just like Severin, there might be enough power for her to tap into down in the Deeper Well for her to be able to come back and fix Dawn. The Hoffren and the rest of this magical council don't want Severin and Simone down in the Deeper Well because craziness could happen down there and it's our last, house of magic in the world, and they also don't want Buffy, Willow, and anybody else going down in there because, again, the only house of magic left in the world. So now everyone is going down into the Deeper Well to either fix their own lives or ruin other people's, except for Spike, who is at home babysitting a Dawn who is fading away from reality.
That's what you need to know, and so without further ado, let's jump into Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 9, issue number 23. It's The Core, Part 3. Here we go.
You are invited.
Well, I've been working in a coal mine, going down, down. Working in a coal mine, whoop, about to slip down. Working in a coal mine, going down, down. Working, going, working, whoop, about to slip down. Working, going, working.
So the issue opens up, and Severin and Simone have actually found this pavilion in the middle of the well where Severin will be able to access all of the different sarcophagi down there and suck up the mystical energies from them. So it's go time for Severin to do his thing, but I mean, all of that power from Illyria is making him really crazy. He's not thinking straight. He's calling Simone Claire, his girlfriend's name, and she's like, dude, you need to get your shit together, okay? So the magic that is all up in Willow is kind of guiding her to where this energy is that she needs to tap into in order to help Dawn, right? The Hoffren's like, no, we're not going to let you go down in there. We need to stop Severin and Simone. You can't be playing with any of the magic down here. But Buffy says, oh no, my sister comes first, and if you want to stop me, you're going to have to do that after you stop Severin and Simone. Now, back in San Francisco, Spike, he had been trying to record everything he knew about Dawn in case he forgot. Well, now none of it will play back. None of it is working, and he's mad at Andrew because he thinks that the recorder he gave him was busted. But that's not the case. It's simply that Dawn is literally disappearing. Cut back to the Deeper Well, where Willow and Buffy realize that neither of them can actually remember Dawn's name anymore, and they've got to get this shit handled quickly. As the different members of the Magical Council descend into the well to try and stop Severin and Simone, basically, Ko says, hey, Illyria, you don't have any powers, maybe you ought not be playing here, but Illyria basically says, I was here for an eternity, and I know what my powers are capable of, so you're gonna need my help either way. So since Xander betrayed us, he's not allowed to go down into the well, and he's being guarded by this demon, and he's not happy about that, but then he gets a call from Spike, and Spike is with Dawn, and he's basically saying, hey, everybody's forgetting about Dawn, she's starting to fade away, I figured you might want to say goodbye while there's somebody here to actually say it to. So down on the pavilion, Severin is doing his thing, he's sucking all the energy out of all the different sarcophagi, and he is really losing his shit, and he can't control what he's doing anymore. But Simone has actually abandoned him in search of whatever it is, this power she's after to try and become a super vampire, okay? So as Willow and Buffy are searching for this source of magic, Buffy notices that Willow's magic that got put into her chest is like glowing again, and it's like, what the heck? So Willow thinks that maybe this magic within her isn't just leading her to a source of magic strong enough to save Dawn, but she thinks that maybe it's leading her to a source strong enough to save everyone and maybe restore magic to the entire world. So Xander is on the phone with Dawn, but of course Dawn doesn't even remember who Xander is, and at this point nobody can even remember her name. But anyway, he's like, hey girl, I know you're fading away from reality, but let me lay these Faith Hill lyrics on you, cause you'll always be a part of me. As long as like I'm here, you'll still exist, etc, etc. Love you, boo-boo. Well then Spike fills Xander in on what Simone was up to trying to make like Vampire Slayer hybrids, right? Cut to Simone, who has found this ancient Old One sarcophagus, and she is pouring her blood out onto it. And waking up an Old One. So Willow and Buffy come across this open sarcophagus that Simone, poured her blood out onto, and it is the sarcophagus of Malloker, who was the Old One that created the very first vampires, which is less than good. So Willow says, okay, I'll go and save your sister. You need to take the scythe and go and defeat Malloker because you're the Vampire Slayer. And he's like, the reason that vampires exist. But Buffy's like, no, dude, I really need to go and save my sister. Willow says, I know that that's what you feel like you need to do, but let me handle that. Like, go do your job and let me do mine. I know that I abandoned you when you really needed me the most, but I'm not gonna let you down this time, I promise. So then we get our first glimpse of Malloker, who is enormous, like, just really, really big and monstrous and kind of batty looking, and D'Hoffryn and the Magical Council are trying to fight him off, but nothing seems to be really working. While all that's going on, Severin is just like doing this whole light show in the middle of the well, absorbing all of this power, and Illyria and co are trying to get to him because the power is going to overwhelm him, Illyria says. Xander makes his way down to Buffy and informs him of what Simone was doing in order to try and make like Vampire Slayer hybrids, emphasis on the hyphen. So Buffy doesn't really understand why, if Severin and Simone are trying to reverse time, why is Simone trying to turn her, like, Slayer army into zompires now? It doesn't make sense. And then they come across Simone's dead body. But not quite so dead, because now Simone is a slaypire, and she says, I don't even need an army anymore. I got everything I need right here. And that's where we end the issue. So I actually really like this issue. I really like it because I wasn't expecting for Simone to be so smart, you know what I mean? Like, the whole reason that we can't get vampires made into real vampires is because there's no, like, mystical connection to the other dimensions, which animate the whole, like, vampire essence or whatever, right? Well, what Simone has done is gone straight to the source. Like, the very first maker of vampires is still physically in our dimension, and so she's gonna skip all of the, like, bullshit and go straight to the source and get her vampire power from where it naturally originates from, which is going to make her like a super duper slaypire, and it's pretty smart, Simone. You gotta give it to Simone. We get some really good emotional stuff with Buffy and Willow in this issue as well. Willow is kind of having to explain to Buffy that this magic and her like changing colors isn't dark magic. Like, there is no dark magic, like there never was. It's always just been Willow, and this is something that Willow had to suss out for herself in her own book, and so it's nice for her to say, look, you can implicitly trust me with the very most important thing in your life, which is your sister. You need to go and help the rest of us. And really, I feel like this is the most important part, not only of this entire issue, but the season as a whole. All season long, we've been kind of reinforcing the importance of Buffy to be the Vampire Slayer. She spent the first half or so of the season trying to avoid being the Slayer, and then she spent so much time trying to, go back into slaying, and then she was like, oh crap, let me go and be a big sister real quick. And we have in this issue D'Hoffryn and the Magical Council and Co and Illyria basically deciding that they can go down and handle Severin Simone without the Slayer. And Willow here reminds us that Buffy is the Slayer for a reason. She has her scythe for a reason. It is her responsibility to save the world and to help us. And Buffy has this circle of friends around her to help her with, the various parts of her life. But when it comes right down to it, it should be Willow's responsibility to go and deal with the magic, and Buffy's responsibility to hold the mantle of the Slayer and show us what that means. And having Buffy, who is the source of all of the problems of Season 9 and all of the Slayers of Season 8, against the source of all of the vampires forever, it really makes a lot of sense, and I think it goes that extra mile to really just reinforce the idea that Buffy has to be the Slayer, because for all intents and purposes now, she's the only one we've got. And I really like that. I like that for Willow, I like it for Buffy, I like that these characters have spent so much time apart, and now that they're getting back on the same page, they really do have that camaraderie that we came to love for these characters, you know, for years now, you know? I'm actually quite impressed with Illyria as well. Illyria, you know, completely powerless right now. We don't know how everything's gonna shake out for her, being, you know, completely drained. It's not like that power's coming back to her, but she feels like really responsible for her power still, and so to see her go down into the well, even though there's no way that she can, you know, survive in a fight against any of these things down there, it's really admirable, and you get this kind of new respect for Illyria, because usually Illyria is just in it for itself. The Malachor stuff, we'll deal more with Malachor as the season comes to an end, but and that's fine. I really like Simone's thinking here. It makes so much sense, and it's really, again, I gotta give it to Simone. And you know, you gotta kind of feel bad for Severin. He just wants to like fix things, even though it's not a very smart plan to try and go messing with time, but he really does just want to fix things and set things right, and he will, but maybe not in the way that we're thinking. And it's also nice to have Buffy and Xander kind of bury the hatchet long enough for them to, you know, find Simone's dead body and But yeah, on the whole, I really like this whole issue. There's not anything that I would really take out or add in. Everything makes a lot of sense for where we've gotten through the season, and it's just really nice to have everybody down in the deeper wells. And all of this D'Hoffryn and Magical Council stuff is really just a lot of good setup for what's going on in Season 10 right now, and so overall, I really like the issue and don't have a lot more to say about it. I will say, however, that I love the kind of funny and at the same time really kind of dramatic interaction between Xander and Spike. Like in the middle of all of this like big battle, we get these two characters who are always at each other, and they're still at each other, but they've got this real love for Dawn that allows for Xander and Spike to really connect and kind of set aside their differences. And I like how much Spike recognizes what Dawn really means to Xander, and the fact that he's willing to give Xander this last moment with Dawn is really lovely, and even lovelier is the fact that Xander's contact name in Spike's phone is Wanka. I just love it. I love the Spander dynamic. It's really funny, and these characters, they just always impress when they are together on the page together. And but yeah, Planet Earth, let me know what you thought of this issue in the comment section down below. I hope you're having a great 2016 so far, everybody. You can come right back here to the Buffington Post anytime for Buffy the Vampire Slayer reviews, Angel and Faith reviews, other stuff. We're going to be wrapping up my Season 9 coverage pretty soon, and then we will move into the Season 9 wrap-up videos. Have yourselves a great day today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Sunburned hot, it burned my eyes, burned so hot I thought I'd died. Thought I'd died and gone to hell, looking for the water from a deeper well. I went to the river, but the river was dry. I fell to my knees and I looked to the sky. Looked to the sky and the spring rain fell. I saw the water from a deeper well. Well, looking for the water from a deeper well. Well, looking for the water from a deeper well.
Joe? 730.